Hi, friends. Today I would like to discuss with you something very interesting, something that is very close to my heart. Many of you who are in India presently would like to pursue your dream of studying in US or studying abroad, pursue your career abroad for a while. Eventually, I would like everybody to come back to India, but and build India. But for the time being, it's a good idea to get an exposure to the world outside and see what people are doing and pursue some degrees. I personally stayed around 17 years in US. I did two masters and a PhD. I worked in a Fortune 500 company, but I always cherished the idea of sharing my journey and helping others how to study in US, particularly those who don't have too much money from their parents, those who cannot afford 30 or $40,000 of savings from parents to pursue the studies abroad, and those who want to have almost free of tuition. Only the flight cost would be there, or only little bit of initial apartment cost would be there, but tuition fee almost free. So how to do that? Now there are a couple of aspects to it. One is, if you are pursuing your PhD, which is a commitment of say 5 to 6 years, uh, then this is a possibility that you can get um, your education for free. At least if you enroll in a PhD, and later on you can move out with a master's, but you have to enroll in a PhD, then the possibility of obtaining an education for free is quite a reality. So suppose you want to do your PhD from US, then the first question that comes to mind, do I need a master's? Actually, no. You can directly enroll in a PhD. You don't even need to do a master's. Then what do I need? What I need is I need to have a few examinations to clear. One is TOEFL, another is GRE, and then I need to apply to some universities. The competition for US universities is intense because students from all over the world are trying to study in US. So you have to prepare yourself. You need a very good GRE score, you need a good TOEFL score, but also because PhD you are trying to do in a technical field, uh, or any field for that matter, whether it is humanities or any STEMs. We call it STEM, which is uh, science, technology, maths related areas. It's engineering, it's all part of the STEM. So if you're trying to do in a STEM area your PhD, then you need some good research papers. Humanities also requires research papers, but bottom line is you need some research papers. You need some good recommendations. You need at least three recommendations, and I will discuss in length each of these topics. So you need good GRE TOEFL, you need recommendations, you need the research papers, which is a additional, but some research papers will help you because the competition is intense. But you also need something very importantly, which is your statement of purpose. Now, what is statement of purpose? Statement of purpose is essentially your story of why you are motivated to do pursue this particular area of research, why you want to stick your neck out for 4 5 years, or no, despite all challenges that come to you, doggedly pursue an area of study? What is the motivation to do that? What is the inherent drive to spend late hours, years after years, in trying to acquire some skills? So that is where the statement of purpose is so important. It has to be a story, a personal journey, a story of your journey, and it also must represent the, it should give you insight to your to the motivation that you have, why you want to uh, spend for next 4 or 5 years into pursuing a field of study during your PhD. So out of all these areas, what is very important is research papers. Research papers um, is something that you have to uh, produce while you are studying during your undergraduate, which is bachelor's in India, or your master's. Um, Generally, a question that popularly asked that whether I need 4 years of bachelor's, or some places it's a 3 years of bachelor's. Particularly sciences, physics, chemistry, maths, it's a 3 years BSc. Then in that case, in US, you need 4 years at least for bachelor's. So you need 3 years of BSc, and then you need 2 years of MSc, and that's 5 years. And then you can pursue the PhD. But in those who have 4 years of BSc, for example, engineering, they can directly move into PhD. They don't even need to do the master's. But the question really is that, okay, so I have my bachelor's and I want to pursue my PhD. But I have a bachelor's in engineering and I want to do my PhD in physics, or I want to do in finance. Is it a possibility? The answer is yes. There, your statement of purpose becomes very important. There, your recommendations become important. There, your research papers become important. If you have a one or two research papers in finance during your undergraduate in engineering, your chances of getting an admission in finance in a PhD program is bright. Of course, there will be mandatory courses and all that you have to do, but the possibility is real. So the question is that, okay, so then I have a PhD, I have a bachelor's in engineering. Can I move to sciences? For example, masters in physics or masters in maths. Uh, then the question is that yes, you can, but it depends on the professor. If the professor is willing to take you for masters in physics or a PhD in physics, then yes, you can go ahead and do it. It's worth trying to make a switch if you want to do that. Another big question that comes to mind is, okay, I had been talking about the costs before of what I need to, how much cost I would incur if I am doing a PhD. Well, and versus the masters. Well, for the masters, if you're just applying for the master's program, then the cost is going to be enormous. It's going to be $30,000 or even $100,000. You do a master's in financial engineering, some places it's $100,000. It's very costly. But if you are doing a PhD um, on in say finance, then you are not going to incur any cost at all. Of course, when you are applying, some universities may say that okay, for one semester we won't give you a scholarship because you are not from finance. You have to prove yourself before you get a scholarship. But there can be all kinds of situation. For example, somebody from physics wants to get into a finance and hypothetical case scenario, then what's going to happen? Well, that person can do a bachelor's in physics, a master's in physics, BSc and MSc, and then can make a switch over to finance. And I'll tell you how. At University of Houston, they offer a course on econophysics. Very interesting course. Those who want to make an career in finance, they can move from physics after finishing their masters, get into that program, which will cost you nothing, a PhD program, and then you during that time you acquire the skill sets that's required for the finance industry. It's a PhD in econophysics. Somebody who has done a BSc and MSc in maths or statistics can get into a program at Florida State University called quantitative finance. And if you get into this program, then after you finish a PhD, your chances of getting into a finance industry is extremely high. These are very high paying jobs. I can tell you a quant job, which essentially is requires the skill sets of analyzing data through maths and statistics, that those kind of jobs over for 5 years, 6 years, or even 10 years experience can give you half a million, $1 million annually. So that's the kind of possibilities you are looking at. So therefore, how you apply is going to be important. One question that people often come up is that, okay, there are so many universities, which university to apply? If I am a student and I know my GRE, I even do not know my GRE score when I'm applying, because when you are writing your GRE, you're taking your GRE, you are asked to give your GRE score to a few universities. You can choose those universities. So I do not even know which universities to apply before I write my GRE exam. But you have a way to navigate this problem. You can write to many professors for different universities saying that you are interested in his research and you are planning to apply to a particular university. What will be his or her response? You don't know. But in case the professor says something positive, that, oh, looks like you have a good resume, or looks like that I would, or simply like he or she may say that I would encourage you to apply. A simple comment like that means that when, suppose you have a good GRE score, a TOEFL score, everything remains remaining the same. When there is a panel meeting amongst the professors to choose the candidates uh, to provide admission for that year's PhD program, the professor who says that, or professor who shows some interest in you, would perhaps put a word that you look to be a good candidate. In America, in the United States, if a professor wants a student, the professor will usually get that student. Therefore, it is important to write to professors around US universities that you are interested in. First, get a some kind of positive reply from the professor, and then apply to those universities. That way, you are going to save money in the application cost, which is around $40-50. That's something you are going to save, or even $100 at times. So you're going to save some money on the application cost, and you're also going to uh, spend the time and energy required for an effort that has a real possibility. Now you may apply some few top tiers. Let's say, suppose you are applying for 6 universities or 10 universities, 3 top tier, 3 middle tier, 3 bottom tier. Bottom is relative depending on where how low you want to go, but it is a good idea not to go for all top tier universities and get rejected. Hedge your possibilities. First hedging is get an you write to the professor. To You can write to multiple professors within a department. Write to the professor, try to see if you can get a positive response, and then you do not apply to all top tier universities, but you distribute your possibilities, few top tier, few middle tier, so that way you save a year. Now it's very important that during their masters, bachelors and masters, you pick a professor who is producing research journal articles and journals on a regular basis in recent times. Try to work with such a professor, either online, or you go and do some, if it is lab research, then you have to go and do some lab research during your summer time. Indian Institute of Science is a great place. If you can get into Indian Institute of Science professors, can get to work with them, then there's a real possibility that that such professors may give you a good recommendation. A good recommendation from a professor at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, ISC Bangalore, is going to be of tremendous value in the field they are in. People know them very well. So you can look for IIT professors, you can look for NIT professors, you can look for ISR professors. There are so many ISRs throughout India, and you can also look for Indian Institute of Science Bangalore, which I think would be should be your top priority if you can work, if you are able to work with one such professor. Now it's very important that the recommendations that you have, those recommendations speak highly of you. It doesn't really matter that a bad recommendation from a good professor is not a good idea. A moderate recommendation from a very good professor may still be a good idea, but a very good recommendation from a moderate professor who has good citation index, who is well known in the community worldwide, is a very good idea. So if you have all these things going now during your bachelor's and master's, it is important to prepare well for your GRE and TOEFL. Without preparation, it's not going to work. You need a lot of mock tests uh, to prepare for these examinations. On our side, on on our side, we are going to help you to not only prepare for these exams, but we are also going to help you in brushing up your statement of purpose so that it becomes a coherent story. I'm a scientist myself for many years now, after finishing my PhD, um, and I've been a scientist at for Fortune 500 company, and I've done my postdoctoral research. So when I would look at that statement of purpose, I would look at that it has scientific content, technical content, as well as the story is coherent. So both things have to be there in that few paragraphs that you write to make it a very appealing statement of purpose. And we on behalf of that the efforts that we are carrying out, on behalf of the Confident Communication Services, the company that we have started to help students get to study abroad. We are also conducting um, mock tests on a regular basis, giving students feedback so that students can get a taste of what um, a mock test is like, and that will help them to crack the GRE, the TOEFL. Now, remember, this is a global competition. This is a competition where China or Korea or uh, anywhere in the world you take, students from all over the world are competing for that one position, PhD position. They're coming with journal publications, they're coming with um, good recommendations, they are coming with GRE and TOEFL. Now, whole of China, all of China, by law, is made to learn English. So when you are trying this from India, it doesn't really mean that you alone will be competing for that position with a very good GRE and TOEFL is assured. No, it's not assured because it's a global percentile that they are going to provide you. And students from China are doing well in those examinations. So you have to practice, practice, and practice till you perfect and get that confidence that whether it is maths or English, you are going to do extremely well. We will help the students to excel and figure out a career path that they dream of pursuing. But the students have to provide the time and energy in order to seek excellence. Hope this video is of help to you. Wish you all the best. If you need any help, please feel free to connect with me and contact me. Thank you. Bye.